All right, welcome to the Sharp Mind Show, episode 97. I'm Nate, the Fit Future MD, your host. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share the video with somebody that needs it. Make sure you shop at InsterCell.com and pick you up a cool, inspirational t shirt today because you shouldn't just be inspiring yourself, you should also be inspiring others to become better versions of themselves and to actually succeed in life and not be sad, depressed, lonely, or anything like that. And that's what Intercell is all about. So check that out at intercell.com. All right. So, first topic of the day is stocks, Bitcoin, silver, gold, all crash in the same day. What's going on? So, basically, uh, the Donald has chosen a new um, Federal Reserve Bank chairman named Kevin warsh, right? And so Kevin Warsh is against what's called quantitative easing and has been against the 6.6 trillion balance sheet that the Fed has, right? So basically, what the Fed has done, since COVID, is they have bought up bad assets to keep the market stable. They wanted to make sure the market was always stable and not doing this and this and this, right? And so if you have someone that's against quantitative easing or against have the Fed having a balance sheet, right? So because truthfully, it doesn't make any sense for the government to be buying up assets, right? It's kind of artificially, uh, it's basically artificially holding up the market, right? And also, it's kind of like socialism, right? Or even communism, right? More communism that the government owns your assets, right? So obviously Kevin Warsh is against this, but that means that these things that have been going crazy, right? Stocks, Bitcoin, silver, gold, all that kind of stuff, which is on the Fed's balance sheet, may end up not being worth as much. So obviously, some big players out there decided, okay, well, we're going to get out. Um, Also, you saw a bounce in the U.S. dollar, right? So that bounce in the U.S. dollar makes the dollar worth more, and obviously that makes silver, gold, Bitcoin, all that worth less, right? So that's what I saw happen. Let me know what you guys think, right? So obviously the whole point of this is to be a smart mind, a sharp mind. That's why it's the Sharp Mind Show, and basically it's like, well, what do you do here? Well, if you are a regular long-term investor, so it depends on what your plan is, regular, medium, or short-term, medium-term, or long-term investment, right? So in the short term, if you're a short-term investor and you know stocks are doing this, you're going to actually trade less shares, right? So um, if you normally do 300 to 600 shares, you may do 100 shares at a time on a trade, right? And that way, if the trade goes against what normally would happen, so if you normally do a U-shaped recovery trade and it goes down, you buy it and it keeps going down, then you've lost less money. You basically, you know, you don't bet as much money, right? Um, Short term. Now, medium term, long term, you're basically getting these assets at a steal, possibly, right? So you're going to continue to dollar cost average into these things that you've decided and figured out that these are things you want to buy, right? Obviously, Bitcoin is high, silver's high, gold's high, right? So you're looking for the asset class that's not high, right? So right now that would be oil, if you didn't know. So keep that in mind. Oil's at like $60 a barrel, something like that, $60. So obviously oil is um, so if you are a value investor like me, oil would be where you would have value, right? So keep that in mind. Let me know what you guys would invest in right now, medium term, long term, and let me know what short term strategies that you're using, right? All right, so this episode is brought to you by Dylan and Davina, The Adventure Begins, which is my wife's children's book. Be sure to check out Dylan and Davina, The Adventure Begins, available on Amazon. All right, written by Amazon best-selling author Meredith Dillon Johnson. All right, so go check that out. All right, so what's everybody talking about today on Monday, February 2nd? Talking about Snowmageddon 2026, right? And so obviously the South has had record snowfall, right? I think New Bern was at 13 and a half inches, which was an inch higher than their record snowfall. I'm down here in Carteret County, Morehead City, and obviously this is the most snowfall I've ever seen, right? And so I have always been able to get to work after it snowed. But even I am questioning whether, I can make it to work or not, right? So should you stay at home or go to work? You should probably stay at home, right? Especially if something is not critically important, right? So if I'm the gas station attendant, I'm the person working at Dunkin' Donuts, I'm not risking my life for minimum wage. Just not, right? It's just not happening. Now, that being said, your nurses, your doctors, you know, call, get an escort, whatever you need to do to get in. But, Snowmageddon 2026 is here. Basically the snow is taller than my youngest child. I mean, my oldest child, right? For Snowmageddon 2026. So, also, if you're able, right? If you haven't dug out your walkways, you haven't dug out your vehicles, if you haven't dug out your heating unit outside, so that it can work properly, we're talking about 10 degrees, 11 degrees outside. It can't be covered in ice, right? Like, and still work properly. So make sure if you're able to do that, right? But otherwise, we just gotta wait for everything to thaw out. Snowmageddon 2026. Hopefully, you can get some good pictures and throw some snowballs and make some snowmen and stuff like that. But obviously, Snowmageddon 2026 is one for the memory books, and I know people are going to want to go out there and see it all over the place. But make sure that that ice freezes overnight. The roads freeze overnight, so let the sun come out and let the sun do its thing, and melt some stuff, and so you can get around, right? So Snowmageddon 2026 in the books. Let me know. Post your pictures down below. Let me know what your Snowmageddon looks like, right? All right, so on to life coaching today. All right, we got 26-year-old, and he says, should I buy a house right now or wait for interest rates to drop? So the thing is, right, you have a amount of money that you make, right? And basically the whole point is going to be, are you making enough money to actually afford a house, right? Or how much? So you have to get, so these are the steps to buying a house, right? You get pre-approved for a mortgage, right? And that mortgage broker is basically going to tell you, okay, you can afford, for us, it was $180,000 house, right? At the time. And so we went and looked for $180,000 house, right? And obviously that even at the time, that still limited us to small starter homes, right? So you have to see where you're at, right? So if they say that you can afford a $350,000 house, you're going to be looking at starter homes. If they say you're approved for a $600,000 house, you're going to be looking at a nice mid-sized home. If they say you're approved for $1 million, you might be able to get a very nice house. And then obviously trophy level properties will be, 3 million to 30 million or 100 million. But obviously when you get to that level, the mortgages are a little bit different, right? But the basic question is, should you buy a house? And the mortgage broker is basically going to tell you that, like, okay, you can afford this house. Now, that being said, we obviously think interest rates are going to drop at least 50 basis points this year. However, that doesn't matter on your affordability of the house, right? Now, high interest rates, a higher interest rate makes it where less people are eligible to purchase a home, right? Because they can't afford to buy the house. That being said, if interest rates drop, more people are going to be eligible, and therefore supply and demand, you'll have higher demand, right? So keep that in mind. I will say this: if for some reason you can't afford a house, right, try to get land, right? Um, Especially in my area, areas that are growing. Like I say, my area hasn't even had like big investors come in here yet, right? And so that's going to happen, as they finish the interstate to my area. Big developers and stuff like that are going to come down here, and there's a high growth potential here. So if you can, land might be $40,000 or $50,000, and if you can flip that in a couple of years, that'll be an easy down payment on a house in a couple of years, right? So keep that in mind as well. That people are going to be willing to buy, purchase land 200 grand in 4 or 5 years. Um, so, and we would be considered the outskirts of the city, right? So just keep that in mind. But at the end of the day, if you don't love real estate, then you shouldn't be investing in real estate, right? So if you're not searching every day for real estate, you don't know the ins and outs of the market, stuff like that, then don't be investing in real estate. If you're looking for a home, that's different, right, than investing. So keep that in mind as well. Okay. All right. So we'll move on. So basically, should you buy a house right now? Yes, if the mortgage people say you can afford it. You have to continue to rent if you can't, right? But eventually, you've thrown away so much money renting, you would have been better off to buy even a trailer so than to rent forever, right? So keep that in mind. If you need to buy land and put a trailer on it for $150,000 because that's what you can afford it, and then build a house later, then that's what you do, right? But that's just my opinion. Let me know what you guys think. Is it unaffordable to purchase housing now, or can you do other things to make sure that housing is available for yourself? All right. And so last thing we got is the quote of the day. And it says, what you do today can improve all your tomorrows. What you can do today can improve all your tomorrows. And that is by Ralph Marston, right? So I feel like a lot of people out there have just given up, right? They believe that the little man can't get ahead. Housing's too expensive. They don't feel like they can participate in the stock market. They're not smart enough to be in the stock market. They weren't educated about financial stuff, right? And I talk to people every day that's what they were like. Well, yeah, I would have put more in my 401k before I got here, if I had known, right? Well, you know, it's your choice right now today to say, I'm not going to retire broke. I'm not going to be broke, right? And I'm going to invest, right? And so if you choose to learn how to invest, you know, obviously that's something that I can teach you how I invest, right? And so I do that through life coaching. If you're interested in learning how to do that, then hit me up for life coaching, right? And so I can help, I can improve your life. And it's a 1 year, 100% money back guarantee that I will improve your life, right? So keep that in mind. But basically, it's your mindset, your skill set, and your habits, right? So we use affirmations to change our mindset. We use our habits to change our skill set, and we use our skill set to get rich, right? So, and not only getting rich, it's improving your life, right? So if you have a habit to go into the gym, eventually going to the gym and eating healthy will make your life better, right? The days stack on each other, right? You get 1% better today, 1%, 1%, 1%. That's called compound interest. But with your health, with how smart you are, with your advancement in the workplace, that kind of stuff. And if you believe you can't get there, then that's where you start. You start with mindset, you start with affirmations. I give my affirmations away for free, so go check that out also in the description. But what you do today can improve all your tomorrows. So do what you need to do today to improve all your tomorrows. I'm Nate. I'm the Fit Future MD, and I'm a life coach. Hit me up for life coaching. Subscribe to the channel. Share this video with somebody that needs it. Like the video. Comment down below. Let me know what you thought about it. Shop at InstaSell.com. Pick up a cool inspirational t-shirt, because that's my business. And check out my wife's book, Dylan and Davina, The Adventure Begins. And we'll see you in the next piece.